Good afternoon, everybody. We got a small crowd, so this is going to make it very easy for me because I'm really talking to you like I'm sitting at the table with you. Executive benefits. Does anybody work with them already in their companies? Oh, this is going to be a live conversation then. All right, so executive benefits are the most commonly used tools for folks that are making over $160,000 a year. So if you have people that are making high incomes in your company, they're actually discriminated against using qualified plans like 401ks because of limitations on those plans. But with non-qualified plans, as we're going to discuss today, non-qualified plans enable companies to actually set up programs where folks that are making over $160,000 to millions of dollars, they could defer up to 100% of their money pre-tax. And this becomes a very important discussion for those folks. So when you're talking about the top people that are running the companies, you're paying them the most. You're doing perks. You're doing all kinds of very creative strategies to keep them lined in. The number one reason why people come to companies is because of money. The number two reason is because of benefits. And especially if you're in a high tax state. I'm in California, so California historically is the highest tax state running around out there. So we have to do things to keep people's money in their pockets instead of losing it to the government. And there's a lot of misinformation that people kind of learn as they get into the higher income areas. Is one, a lot of people think that when I defer money, I'm still going to lose all the money to taxes when I make a distribution, when I finally take the money out. But actually there's a lot of benefit tax perks, rules that are out there that are part of the Department of Labor regs and part of ERISA and part of tax code, IRS, that enables people to get that money out without paying full taxes on it. So it's a very big benefit for people that are making those high incomes to have a place to set those dollars aside for later days. It's important to know your business partners in this stuff. So we've been doing this for a couple decades at Benefit RFP. We're one of the largest shops that manages executive comp and benefit programs throughout the U.S. We work in 6 continents, so we're all over the place. And when Kay was given the intro, she mentioned that we use a lot of AI technology. One of the things that's really made us famous and stand out in the marketplace that we serve is we use a lot of technology. It's all proprietary technology to make sure that all of the clients and their participants that are in these plans are getting the best use of financial vehicles. So we use things like AI to compare any investments, any insurance-based products that are usually used to fund these programs to make sure they are the best that exist out there, the most competitive products. And our AI shops and compares everything based on the demographics of the people that we're working with. So it can be a smaller company doing $35 to $50 million, or it can be a Fortune 100 company, doesn't matter. So we work with companies that'll bring us into very small plans, startup plans, all the way up to the multi-billion-dollar plans that are in existence out there. The greatest thing that I look at from a founder standpoint on this company is we've never had a lawsuit. We do a lot of audits for company plan assets. We've never lost an audit, and we've never had a customer or a participant complaint, and we manage billions of dollars in this space. And so that's what I look at. That tells me we're doing the right things. From the award areas, we get awards every year for being a fintech company leader. We're listed in Silicon Valley as one of the top technologies in the financial sector, and we get service awards and all that. But I really come down further than that, because if our clients are happy, if nobody's complaining, that means you're doing something right. So we take that all very serious out in the marketplace. 4 reasons why companies come to us. One, we're looking to recruit, reward, and retain the top people that are out there. So I always like to tell people about the Yankees. Yankees, have more World Series rings than any organization. Not that I'm a Yankees fan, I'm not. And if you are, I'm, not taking any shots at you. But they've always historically built their organization to be the best organization by getting the best players, the best managers, paying the most, putting together creative programs to keep those people locked in. You can do the same thing for companies. When you're thinking about the best companies that you run into, the best ones have long tenured executives that are part of that organization. And that doesn't happen by chance. That takes a lot of creative design, conversations, creativity around plans to make sure that their participants are getting the most out of any benefits that exist out there. And again, with the executive benefits, you can get completely creative. You can bring in other benefits into these programs, Public companies will bring in stock. So it's not just cash. You'll see companies bringing in other investment bonus programs. But we want to keep these people locked in, because if they're good people, we don't want to lose them to our competition. And we can design strategies around really locking folks into companies. Also, the number one cost that companies have is replacing executives that leave. And if you think for a second, not only if you're going to lose a senior executive, but if you lost a CEO, you'd probably lose the culture of your company as well. And so that takes a lot to replace that. Generally on the lower end of the HCs, the highly compensated executive area, it's about 3 times whatever their complete salary and bonuses to replace them. So if somebody's making $200,000, by the time you get done interviewing, training, hopefully they're not stealing clients, it's going to cost you about $600,000 to replace. For a CEO, it's about 7 to 9 times. So if you're paying a CEO $1 million a year, it's going to be a very costly endeavor to replace those people. So it's much cheaper to keep those people locked in with the company that they're at. And also I mentioned audits. This is the most common area where we get brought in because of our technology and because of our service platform. We'll audit plans because there are plans out there that are funded so badly that they're actually costing the company money. And 2 of the guarantees that we give every company that we work with, and we're the only organization that does this in America with these programs, is one, if a plan is properly put together and funded properly, it's going to reduce the cash flow necessary to pay executives because of tax law and because of timing. The other thing that we guarantee is when a plan is put together properly and funded properly, it'll actually create a profit center for the organization. And this is good because we'll share those profits with shareholders or owners of the organizations so that they are getting some value back from the program itself. We're also looking for ways for companies, if they have ESOPs or large qualified plans, we're working with them on really making sure they understand that in America, you can pull these dollars out tax-free. And when I say that, a lot of people go, wait a minute, he just said you could pull out dollars from a 401k tax-free. 100%. And there's a process that's been out on with the Department of Labor since the 1970s, prior to even the 401ks being created, that enable you to take advantage of a strategy that takes about 3 years, but those dollars would come out. So if somebody at your organization has a $5 million 401k, if they do nothing with it, they're going to lose half the taxes. We retain those values so that those people, when they leave, they can take that money with them, or it goes to their children, grandchildren, that type of thing. So we get very deep into the discussion around these. And again, our goal with working with companies, recruit, retain, reward the top people. We want to build the best organization culture, keep everything locked in and ready to play. What drove us to our technology with this is, in my world, you have 2 sets of conversations. You have a company that's looking to do something to recruit, retain, reward the top people. And you also have companies that are scared to death of these platforms because, my God, it's going to cost me a ton of money because everything that's tied into executive compensation has got to be expensive. We did a training program for the World at Work. I don't know if any of you are familiar with World at Work. They serve very large companies, public companies. And we had, they put together a presentation for us with the Fortune 1000 companies. 97% of the people that served those organizations weren't sure of how the world works around executive benefits, the laws, all the different moving pieces. And you have brokers out there that are selling product as a solution solve for these organizations, and they were completely disconnected. And so that opened our eyes 20 years ago, and we started looking at this going, there's got to be a better way. And so we put all the rules, all the regs, everything exists inside of our marketplace so that when a company wants to look at an executive benefit platform, it's much more understandable. It talks without a bunch of jargon that comes from the financial world or insurance world or investment world, and it puts everything in a conversation that's related to what the company's looking to do. We just want an executive benefit plan of some sort that's going to make us money as a company. It's going to put money in our participants' pockets, keep everybody locked in. We really have 5 sets of technology that we work with the most. One is the diagnostic. So if somebody gets on a call with us that's never been through an executive benefit plan, and that's common, new companies are growing, they've never been through an executive benefit plan, we're going to take them through a diagnostic, and it's a live conversation so they can see all the benchmarking, everything that's available on these plan designs, because these are much more robust than simply a 401k where you have a lot of kind of government set structures on these. These are, wide open templates. But we want to make sure the clients understand what they can do based on the demographics of their company, and we'll put together the plan to match that. Once they understand the type of plan they want to do, and there's about 35 different executive benefit programs that exist out there. It's not just deferred comp, which most people think about, but it's actually a slew of plans that exist for shareholders, public, private, doesn't matter, and for the executives, and they involve a lot of different strategies, structures. Some are cash, some are equity, those types of things. So we put them into the plan builder so they can start to see what the plan is going to look like from a cash flow standpoint, and then how it's going to make the company money. Then we get into funding, and I talked about our technology. We have a technology we created years ago. It's called the heat map, and we can take, if a company brings us a $10 million plan, a $100 million plan, and they've got 4 participants or they've got 4,000 participants, we plug all that information into the heat map technology, and it goes through the entire market space, and it shows that company exactly what is the best way to fund that plan. It might be multiple programs, might be taxable like stocks, bonds, mutual funds. It might be some type of COLI, which is an acronym for corporate-owned life insurance, which is very common because it keeps the assets in the company tax-free when it's set up properly. Or it might be a blend of all these. And so we go through and we compare all this information. We give them the color chart on the matrix report that shows them exactly what the products are that's going to best suit their need. We don't sell product. Companies look at it, usually the CFO, treasurer, business owner will look at it and say, that one makes me the most money. If they're in an existing plan, and we can line up what they have already and compare everything else that exists out there so they can see, oh my God, this has cost me a couple $1 million. Generally, an audit of a small company plan, companies that are doing $50 to $100 million, will yield the owners of the company or the shareholders of the company $2 to $3 million immediately, just because they were in the wrong product that's funding the program. You get into mid-sized companies, it's $5 to $7 million, and then there's no limit on the bigger companies. And then the final piece that we do, because we know when we're building the plans for the plan sponsors, they get it now. But participants don't generally understand it. They don't know how it works. So we have a concierge program that shows them exactly if they put in X amount into the plan, how much to expect down the road based on their goals, what the replacement value is going to be by the time they retire. So, when you retire, everybody goes, gosh, Fidelity says I need 8 times my income by the time I retire. That's not a real number. So the concierge is designed to really pinpoint and eliminate things that will disappear off of people's costs. So things like Social Security, if you're paying for it now, when you retire, you're not going to be paying for it. If you're deferring 20% of your income, when you retire, you're not going to be doing that. And so we reduce the replacement income by the 6% for Social Security, the 20% for the deferral, whatever else they're doing, so they have a hard number, so that when our participants walk out and they hang up the cleats for the last time and collect that gold watch, they know what they have. They know exactly what they have. And a lot of people are surprised that, it takes several $1 million to retire if you're a high income earner these days, and it scares the heck out of them. But then when you match it up with their investments and what they're doing with deferrals and other benefits like Social Security, and they learn how to maximize those things. Most people don't even realize Social Security, I can get into it when I'm 62, but if I'm wait until I'm 67, I can get 3 times the value. The low end being about $23,000 a year, high end being about $67,000 a year. So I can still retire when I'm 60 if I have some assets that support me until I maximize Social Security, but I can delay Social Security payout so that myself, my spouse, my beneficiaries are going to get, a much bigger chunk of money to work with. So we bring everything together for them. This is just a list of all the different types of benefits. So when people come in the door, a lot of times most people are looking for deferred comp. They hear about deferred comp, they think that's the only executive benefit that's out there. But in reality, there's a whole bunch of different strategies they can use. And business owners are treated differently than executives in these plans because of ownership rules and some opportunities they have. And so a lot of folks are coming to us from different directions. We have a lot of ESOPs that'll come in. They'll want us to pay off the retention liability that the bank has on them for the transition. So we get into a lot of different discussions. When you're talking about audits, audit itself is a scary word. I always hate to say this when I'm with a client because the first thing they hear about is audit is like, oh my God, IRS is coming in. This is a free service we do for all the clients and prospects that come in our door. And An audit is simply comparing what they have right now to all the different rules that exist out in the marketplace. We had a major rule change a couple of years ago with IRS that reduced the amount of money necessary to keep plans tax-free by using some strategies. And when we'd audit a plan, like I said before, there's millions of dollars at stake by doing these plans properly. So we get in, we simply are showing them, here's the available benefits that you have by just adjusting your plan. Takes about a day to do, it's easy to do, and you never get a complaint when you're finding millions of dollars for a business owner. I'll show you that. They will buy you lunch. First part of the process, we keep it very simple. If you've never sold an executive benefit plan, if you've never purchased an executive benefit plan, if you've never been a participant in an executive benefit plan, that's what the first call, the live diagnostic call, is all about. It's to get a chance to go through on a very, very conversational level with the client, or if they have a broker, to go through it so everybody understands. And because it can be a very complex subject matter because there's so many moving parts, but we dumb it down so that it's very easy to understand when you're going through the whole process. A couple other things that we get into, and this is sometimes new for people too. So when I mentioned business owners are different than executives in these plans. A business owner is dealing with equity and this thing all right, it's popping around. A business owner is going to be dealing with equity positions very differently. Most business owners will not be in a traditional executive benefit plan. But what they'll do is they will go in to a plan that's actually funded by a bank. And this is very important. You want me to shut this up?
Yeah. Sorry about that.
I think so. All right, you on? Okay. Business owners go into come at it from a very different point of view. If you have a business owner and a company's doing $25, $30 million, they might be making $1 million a year. Every year they're paying taxes. And it's frustrating as heck, right? In California, we have over, if you're all in on tax rates, it's 62% is our high end between state, federal, all of your Social Security, Medicare tax, all that stuff. It's expensive. You got to control it. And, Nevada is obviously a much better place because of the state tax-free world that you live in. But when you're dealing with taxes, a lot of times people go, I've just got to pay it. I've just got to suck it up. It's the way it is. The reality, that's not true. So if I use a bank to fund my benefit programs, I don't pay taxes on the money that the bank puts in. The bank might charge me 3% for those dollars, but if I get that money working for me versus a 62% tax rate, now I've got an arbitrage of almost 60%. So it puts me at favor. Also, by the way these are designed and grow, these are called AG49 plans. They grow tax-free, and all the distributions come out tax-free. So I'm using somebody else's money to create my value. The same way I'd be doing it if I was buying a building or a house or any of these things. And it's just strategically setting it up properly, because when you pay taxes, if I make $1 million and I lose $400,000 or $500,000 to taxes, I didn't just lose $400,000 or $500,000. If I could have put that money into an investment, even yielding 5%, that's millions and millions of dollars that I recover, and that's called my human life value. Taxes are the biggest siphon for your human life value, and our goal is, so we'll get professional athletes, we'll get business owners, we'll get people that are losing tons of money to taxes, and we need to recover that. And so we'll use the bank-funded program, the AG49 plan. It's been around for a long time. It's nothing new on this. But it's really to recover those values that they're going to lose out on taxes. Throw a trivia piece out there. This is math. This is not benefits or anything like that. But if you take $1 and you double it every year for 20 years, you'll have a little over $1 million. If you put a 40% tax rate to that exact mathematical equation, you'll have a little over $12,000. It'll take you another year or another 10 years to get to the $1 million. But the person that has the $1 million, they're going to triple their $1 million in that same 10 years. And so time and taxes are very important. The IRS understands this better than anybody. We just, we write our checks each year to the IRS, and it is what it is. When you get control of this so that you pay yourself first and the IRS last or never, that's a much better position. So we work with folks on these conversations. And again, it doesn't have to be a huge company. It has to be a high income earner that's involved in these things. And we get a lot of folks that are running small organizations. They'll have 10, 20 employees, but the owners are making $500,000, million bucks or more. Surgeons do this, all these different folks that get into this kind of trap on what do I do? How do I get out of taxes? This is folks that we help when we go through these programs. This is just a quick reference piece for you all to think about. Paying taxes in the U.S. is absolutely voluntary, okay? And what I mean by that is if I make $1 million and I owe $500,000 in taxes, it's got to get paid. Who writes that check? The IRS could care less, just as long as the taxes are paid. So if my mom or dad say, hey, you know, we love you, kid, here's the money we got you, IRS is going to be happy. Same way if a bank comes in and pays those taxes for me, IRS doesn't care. Doesn't care at all. And so when you set up these programs, the mindset's a little differently kind of equipped on how you're going to attack the situation. This is an actual example. This is an individual, successful entrepreneur making $7.5 million a year. This person, I know this person personally, actually he's in Sioux Falls, pays about $3 million in capital gains and income taxes every year, loses $106 million by the age of 65. So he's a younger guy, 43 years old. He's got about 22 years till he's 65. And this is simply doing a 4% equation on that money. I call that sleepy money because that's money any of us can get any day of the week. We don't want to show them putting that money in an S&P account or something like that that's going to be 8-10% because they're going to have a stroke. So we make it very conservative. We also don't show the lifetime loss because if the average lifetime for an exec in the U.S. today is 91, which is higher than the average death rate because successful people have better access to medical information, all that. But the person's going to lose $106 million. So that person came to us and said, I want to do a program that's going to recover all this money. So in this case, they put away $1 million a year for 5 years, and that was it. The bank funded the complete rest of the program, and they were able to pull out or set up for an automatic draw on this of about $120 million in total money. So it more than covered the $5 million that the individual put in. And they can go in early and they can pull their $5 million out, so they're just working with the bank money. That part doesn't bother us at all. The big thing is just, oops, going the wrong way. The big thing is just getting the process and the program going so that at the end of the day, and I think they have a grid on here, so you can see what the client puts in is in red. You can see what the bank put in onto this program, and the bank generally will pull the money out 12 to 15 years into it. So the bank is out of it. These are almost always funded with insurance programs of some sort because an insurance contract is a very unique financial vehicle. I don't really use it for death benefit. We don't calculate death benefit because we have no idea when everybody's going to die. We just know we're going out feet first at some point. But the cash value that's held inside of these corporate programs is 100% growing tax-free, 100% distributable tax-free. And whatever you don't use as the participant is going to go to your heirs, however you want to structure that. The note in the gray is what the client gets out of this, net of everything else. A unilateral contract's important because even though the bank puts in money and you put in money, when the bank stops putting in money, the full calculation always calculates as though the bank is still contributing the money. That's how the unilateral contracts work. Most people don't realize that insurance actually plays a big role. In fact, all these buildings that you see around the city are always funded by insurance companies, bond programs, all that kind of stuff. So it plays a huge role, in what we do. We keep it simple, and we do this. I think am I getting the hook? Am I out of time? No? But we do this very simply. And so if you have a client, you've never been through a program, and they're wealthy or they're high income earners, just contact us. We will take you through the process. A lot of times people that have never been through the process are nervous, and we understand that. These are usually big dollars that are going into these programs. And so we'll take you through that first. We have a boardroom-ready training program to make sure that if you're bringing somebody in and this got to look good and you don't want to mess it up or say the wrong things, we'll help you out with that. That's part of our process, is make sure that everybody is completely comfortable with getting the right process and the right programs to their folks. That's our contact point. We're headquartered in Sacramento, so very easy to get back here if you guys are all out in Vegas. And I'll stop there and answer any questions, or just take a couple minutes and go through any questions that you might have. So we're a little bit over, I think. I can barely see you guys too, so if you raise your hand, you got to really raise it hard. These lights are bright. Good? Everybody comfy? Nobody fell asleep after the lunch coma? So we're good? All right, guys. Thank you very much. I'll talk to you.